With scoliosis, it can be hard to get a good night's sleep. So in this yoga practice, I will show you some of my favorite yoga poses that will help you reset your body at the end of the day and help you with those scoliosis imbalances and help you get a good night's sleep. So for this practice today, we're going to use a couple of hand towels, or you can use eye pillows as well. So I'm going to be using one of each to show you. And then I'm going to be using a couple of yoga bricks like these ones as well. Don't worry if you haven't got anything like this. You can use books, for example, as well when we get to it. So we're going to start with the Constructive Rest pose, which you can find in my new book, of course, as well. And I'm going to use those hand towels, and well, I've got a hand towel and a eye pillow here today, to give a little bit of support and derotation to the convex sides of my scoliosis curve. Now, obviously, you do need to know a little bit about your scoliosis, but I want you to be able to feel this obviously as well. So you might feel that one side is a little bit heavier than the other. So that gives you some clues. If you're not sure, make sure that you've got a proper assessment so that you know what you're working with. But for me, for my left lumbar scoliosis, I'm going to bring this hand towel here underneath the convex side, the peak of the curve. So where the curve is going outwards the most, and I'm kind of just wedging it under here, just with a corner. Don't want to kind of cross the midline. I'm just kind of giving it a little bit more support to give it a little derotation. Now, this has kind of moved my hips slightly over, so I'm going to use this eye pillow, and again, you can use something else if you have another hand towel, to support the other side here, to make sure that I feel a little bit more centered so that I'm not rolling now over to the right side. So this is an example of a reset for my curvature. Obviously, you can then adjust this for your curvature. And then allow yourself just to settle into this support for a moment. So you can close your eyes and just breathe. And by the way, if you're not sure about your scoliosis pattern, or if you're not sure where exactly to put those props, don't worry about it. Just lying on your back at the end of the day is a great way to reset. So just observing your breath. And we take a long inhale and long exhale. Allow your shoulders to relax, your face, facial muscles, your neck. So with scoliosis, our bodies have to work extra hard during the day to support the imbalances. So this resetting practice is really, really important at the end of the day. To make sure we release any accumulated tension, that we're not holding ourselves in that scoliosis pattern when we go to sleep, which is going to be a lot more difficult, obviously. So it's a good idea to establish this routine of an evening practice. Good, let's give it another couple of breaths. And just for the next few rounds, maybe noticing as well, where are you breathing into which part of the body? Is your breath quite shallow? Does it just go into the chest? Is your rib cage expanding? Can you send the breath a little bit deeper down into the body, into the belly, in towards the hips? Good. So let's slowly open the eyes from there. And we're going to take the props out and just see how that feels for you, if anything has changed. Now I feel a little bit lighter on my left side now. I feel this has derotated my spine a little bit. So through this movement practice, I'm going to try and maintain this. I'm going to try not to allow myself to sink into my pattern anymore. And let's just start by bringing the one knee in towards the chest, again without flattening the lower back into the ground, and then bringing it back. And then we just go over to the other side, just bringing the knee in towards you and bringing the foot back down. So this is not about core strengthening, this is just about bringing in a little bit of movement, resetting any patterns that we might have accumulated. Good. Let's just do one more on each side. Lovely. And then from there, let's bring the feet a little bit closer in towards us as we're going to prepare for our bridge pose. See if you can spread your feet nice and wide. Start to press the feet into the floor to come up on towards the shoulders. And then from there, we're just going to slowly release back down. Now, at the end of the day, it always feels really good to articulate through the spine. Obviously, if you have a fusion, if you have any sort of hardware, there might be less movement here, in which case you just kind of focus on the pressing the feet into the floor and then coming back down. But if you can sense those muscles along the spine, then see if you can just kind of pay attention here for a moment. It's almost like you're giving yourself a little back massage here when you're slowly releasing down. So notice the key is slowly on the way down. So on the way up, there's not that much happening, but on the way down, maybe you can feel those little muscles on either side of the spine. Good. Let's do one more here. And keeping your breath nice and long as well. Good. Releasing all the way down. Good. So from there, let's bring the left leg up towards the ceiling. And let's give the legs and the feet a little bit of a reset. Again, the whole body is connected, of course. So it's not just your spine that needs a reset, but it's all the muscles. Think about kind of the backs of the legs, how they might have been shortened during the day, especially if you've been sitting a lot. So just feel those, give those muscles a little bit of a squeeze. And we're just going to start by a few foot movements. So we're going to point and flex the foot a few times, and then we're going to draw some circles with the foot around the ankle one way and then the other way around. Good. Lovely. And then see if you can spread your toes really wide, as if you want to see the ceiling in between each and every toe. So give your foot a really good stretch and open. Good. From there, let's look at those muscles a little bit more. So I'm going to bend the knee and then we're going to reach the leg up towards the ceiling, spreading the toes. So it's not so much kind of trying to bring the leg in towards you as much as possible, but it's about reaching up towards the ceiling, and the spine stays nice and long. Good. So we bend the knee and then we reach, we spread, we lengthen all those muscles. And remember, this will have an effect on the rest of the body as well. Good. And then let's change sides. So we're going to see how this now feels on the other side. So this leg feels really tight for me right now today. So always notice, because your reset might be a completely different experience from one day to the next. So I would really recommend that you do this video a few times. So let's start with our pointing and flexing of the foot. So we wake up that ankle. So when you do it a few times, then you will notice your patterns and you know what has maybe changed. Let's do those circles one way. And remember, your yoga practice is really there to support you, change direction, with your day-to-day activities. So whatever you've been doing during the day will have an effect on how you feel right now, of course. Good. Nice. So let's spread those toes really wide, spreading the sole of the foot. And then we're going to bend the knee and reach the leg up towards the ceiling, spreading the sole of the foot, bending the knee to release and reach and spread. Good. See if you can get that little toe to separate a little bit more. That's the one for me, at least, that gets stuck all the time. Good. One more time. Nice. And then release. And then give your legs a little shake. So crazy legs here. Giving them a good shake. And then from there, we're going to roll over to the side and make our way into all fours. So we're going to bring the hands underneath the shoulders, the knees hip distance apart. And let's come into our rocking cat-cow pose. So we're lengthening through the crown of the head while we're rocking forwards and backwards. So with scoliosis, we always want to promote length. But because this is a resetting practice, after we've done a few rounds of just kind of quite two-dimensionally rocking forwards and backwards, if you want to bring in a little bit of movement, then you might want to come into a little bit more of a traditional cat-cow. So you can start to kind of round and arch the back a few times, maybe kind of going side to side. And let the movement become a little bit more intuitive, a little bit more fluid. So rather than me telling you exactly what shape you're making, so at the moment I'm kind of circling now the body around the hands and the knees. See if you can feel what is required in your body right now, because resetting is all about you. It's not about the exact kind of exercise or shape. It's about what you need right now. So maybe this might be a little bit more movement in certain parts of the spine. So for me, I know my thoracic spine gets locked up, and I like to kind of focus on this space around the shoulder blade sometimes. Obviously, if you have a spinal fusion, I recommend that you kind of stay a little bit more in this plane of rocking forwards or backwards, or you could kind of explore those circles. But again, this is about what is needed in your body. Where can you create a little bit more space? Good. And the head and the neck are part of this as well, right? So you could kind of create this little wave-like movement. And this is really, really good to prepare your body to go to sleep, so the muscles have a chance to release. Good, nice. So from here, let's come into our extended puppy pose for a moment. So we're going to tuck the toes under. We're going to take our blocks for this one. And this one, we're just a little bit higher up. And then from there, we're going to send our hips halfway between the knees and the heels, and we're lengthening through the crown of the head. So it's not an arching, it's not a rounding, it's a lengthening. And then from here, you can start to slide the blocks a little bit further forwards. But again, remember, it's not just kind of a stretch where you're hanging out. It's an elongation of the spine. And just taking a few breaths here. Good. Now you can use the blocks as well to give yourself a little bit of a derotation depending on your curve pattern. So this is great for thoracic curves, for example. If you have a right thoracic curve, you could level that left block up a little bit to give your left side a little bit of a lift, breathing into the back of the left side and allowing the right side to soften down. Just for a couple of breaths. And then just coming back to symmetry. So really important to always come back to the symmetrical position. Good, so from there, let's slide those blocks in towards us and we're gonna bring them up to the highest level here. And we're gonna step 1 foot forward. So we're gonna reset the hips a little bit from here. So my foot is slightly forwards off the knee and we're just going to start to rock forwards and backwards. Now if this is uncomfortable in your knee, you can add a little bit of padding here. So you could use your hand towel, for example, just bring it underneath the knee. Good, but with the blocks, you can probably see this, my spine stays nice and long. So I'm still, while I'm resetting, I'm promoting that length in the spine. I'm not in this collapsed and rounded position. Good. Lovely. So you can make the movement as big or as small. So if you want a little bit more hip opening, just bringing your hips a little bit further forwards. If your hamstrings are really tight on that side, just taking it a little bit further back. And bearing in mind, this will feel different on the other side. So let's change. And let's see what's going on this side. Good. So this is my tighter side today. Now I've been doing a lot of Pilates this week and I've been doing other things as well. I've been doing squats. So again, my yoga practice serves me to reset my body, helping me with all the things I've been doing. Good, and you can always repeat one side, right? If there's one side that feels like it needs a little bit more, then just giving it a little bit more. Good, nice. So let's come out of this and we're going to do one more thing here. So we're going to come back into a symmetrical position after this. So you can repeat your extended puppy pose. Or if you feel like you want a little bit more, you can come into your downward dog. So spreading your fingers nice and wide, tucking the toes under. Sending the hips up towards the ceiling. No need to hold this for very long. You might want to pedal through your downward dog a little bit. Just taking a couple of breaths, really lengthening. Last chance to elongate. And then slowly bringing yourself down when you're ready. So all of these poses are really great to help you reset the muscles and soft tissues to prepare you physically for a good night's sleep. Obviously, we also want to make sure that our sleeping position is actually good. So you can watch this video right here to learn more about this. However, sometimes it's not just the physical imbalances. Sometimes we might be feeling really anxious. We might have a million thoughts in our heads that prevent us from going to sleep easily. So if you want to continue your practice, then watch this next video here where I walk you through a great calming practice, which is all about calming the nervous system to help you get to sleep more easily.